Cross River State has held an international cooperation and investment summit in Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. The summit focused on mutual opportunities, solidarity between countries, and economic relations. At the event, the Israeli ambassador to Nigeria, Michael Freeman, expressed his country's readiness to boost partnership with Nigeria in the area of sustainable agriculture. The roundtable was organized to showcase the business investment opportunities in Cross River. Participants also tried to build ties that will foster diplomacy and collaboration. Well, for more on this and what the future holds for Cross River State, let's speak with the Executive Governor, Mr. Bassey Otu. Good evening, Mr. Otu. It's nice to have you on Arise Prime Time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Okay, so you just had a summit in Abuja earlier, with some diplomatic community, and some businessmen and women. Can you share with us briefly why that meeting was important and how it went? We understand that you have, you will have some agreements with the Israelis on agriculture.
That is very true, Constance. Actually, this is about the third in the series of international summits on investment and opening of opportunities which Cross River State has had. When we came to government, it became clear that globalization has taken its roots very deeply in the affairs of men. And it became clear that for us to be able to move, we have to build some good network, both at home and abroad. So today's investment was a governorship executive roundtable to meet particularly with members of the diplomatic corps to let them know and build already on the achievements that we've had before now. It is true that there are opportunities in agriculture, education, health, industrialization, blue economy, name it. As Cross River State, our main focus has been as agriculture. And we are looking to make sure that agribusiness comes number one in some of the things that we want to do. Moving into the future, we had discovered that for us to move, because we do have some infrastructures that are already on ground, we must have power, energy security. The follow-up is food security and sufficiency, enough for exports, and then to build adequate infrastructure to support the state, the society, and Nigeria in general. And with all this, we just must build proper synergy. We made sure that we come up with policies that will strengthen the institutions that we already have on ground, that would promote people's policy and agenda which we are operating in Cross River State. That's the People First agenda, especially as we mainstream it with a renewed hope, which of course we have in the national. So today we achieved a lot, both in terms of our discussions and the backroom board meetings which we had to make sure that we concretize some of the concepts that we've been promoting. So constant in that direction, it was quite a good one.
Right, so you talk about energy security and food security, very two important items for any governor. And you also mentioned that you would need electricity in order to achieve all of this. That's very correct. So how are you going about achieving that electricity sufficiency that is required to drive investment and development in the state?
Yes, actually we've done a lot in that direction. We already have a plant that can do 33.4 megawatts. And we are looking to acquire the NIPP facility in the state, which has 640-something megawatts. The two put together will give us full energy sufficiency, and we will even export to other states and, of course, other territories or even countries that will require power. And we are laying adequate foundations through that. The 33 megawatts that we have, we're trying to extend the gas pipeline, which in some, maybe call it about 3, 4, 5 months, we should be able to get the gas there to power the plant. That's a low-hanging fruit that will come up. The other ones, immediately we finish negotiations with the federal government, I think that will also come online. So by that deregulation, which the new electricity law has given powers to states to manage their power, I think we are doing a lot, both in terms of reforms to make sure we get that direction right. So very, very soon, we are going to be self-sufficient as far as energy is concerned.
Well, let's stay on the line of investment since we started with that. Tinapa is one major project. When anybody hears about Cross River State, the first thing that comes to mind is the Calabar Festival, clean roads, and then Tinapa. It was a project of the former government, governor, not former, you know, the two past governors. As you're discussing investment, are you going to focus on reviving Tinapa as well? That relates to tourism.
That's very important to us, and it's not just relating to tourism alone. You know, one of the cardinal focus of this government was to build on all our assets and the already achievements of my predecessors. And one of those achievements was actually Tinapa. But because of some issues, it went moribund, and AMCON took it over. But I'm taking it over from AMCON. We've agreed, we've reached what I call the FID, that's the final investment decision in terms of paying AMCON to take back the assets. And Tinapa is going to be the second, what I would say, export processing zone that we're setting up. One is in Ikom, which is powered by the Afri-Exim Bank, and then the other one is in Calabar, which the Cross River State government is driving it. So very soon, Tinapa is going to come alive. We are putting everything in place, and I believe that Constant, the story will be different.
To cost you to revive Tinapa? I understand it's the shadow of its former self.
Well, would I say is a shadow? The structures there were well put together. It was built by a top-notch construction company. We have the structures, even though NSAS caused us a lot of damage there, which we are looking to discuss with the federal government to find out what support they can give, because I think we were about the worst hit with that NSAS. And I think with that, on our own, we have set up things that are going to bring Tinapa back alive. It's not really a shadow of itself. If we look at the facilities there and the structures, they are still alive. It's just to inject life and activities into the facility, then everything will be up and doing. And
so let's stay on the money. Your state lost about 76 oil wells to Akwa Ibom State. And since then, your federal allocation dwindled drastically. How are you coping, especially in relation to internally generated revenue?
Well, it's been very, very tough for us. It's an issue that we're still looking at. We believe that sooner or later, justice will be done, because actually we have oil in Cross River State. And besides that, the littoral boundaries that were set doesn't mean that we lose our oil wells. And then at no time was there a referendum that Bakassi part should be ceded to whatever authorities. So we believe that in terms of getting our assets back, that we will do. And then we are still talking with the federal government and even the international community to see what adequate compensation can be done. There was something like stabilization which was used to augment, but for a long, long time, we've not seen that again. It's one of the items that we will be renewing the hope very, very soon to make sure that it comes on board. But besides that, it's been very, very tough for us because the earlier expenditures by my predecessors were based on the fact that we had 76 oil wells to leverage on. But when it was pulled off, I think we fell into a deficit financing since then. But this government has actually put in place structures that should be able to revive us fiscally. We've improved IGR from what it used to be. We have almost doubled it by now, and it's still work in progress. And we believe that by the time so many things we are trying to put in place, it's on, then we'll up and doing. One of the cardinal points which we had to follow in these is transparency and accountability. We have since injected that to both the staffs, political appointees, civil servants, the bureaucracy as a whole. We've made sure that we've reduced it to the barest minimum. And then we've tried to de-risk and reduce risk involved in investment to the barest that one can think of. All these has added value to some of the things that we're doing to help us fiscally to be credit-worthy and a state that people can come and do business with. We've restructured some of those debts. We're in the process of straightening some of them out, and I believe that not too long we are going to be as viable as any other state.
Let me get you clearly, Governor. Are you saying that the Bakassi case will be reopened? You're saying that you're going to continue to pursue it, that it's not a closed case? Just for us to understand what you really mean.
Yes, it's not a closed case because it's not something that we can accept and walk away. Our ancestors are buried in some of those areas. We lost our soldiers who were defending the front line in trying to make sure that Bakassi remains in Nigerian territory. I mean, for whatever reason it was to be handed over, I believe the consent of the people, proper due process should have been followed. But it was not followed. And those are cases and issues that you cannot sweep under the carpet. Because if we do, what are we going to tell the generation? That it was in this our generation that our assets, our land, and everything was forcefully taken. That has impoverished us to a limit that we are struggling. And when you look at our state, it's quite a rich state. We have the three gateways to wealth. We have the roads, the land, if you want to talk about it. We have the water, and we have the air. So I believe that whichever way it is, this case must end in a mutual understanding, where if we are going to assuage the people, it should be such that people should be happy that actually, yes, this case has been laid to rest in a way and manner that people will accept. My government actually operates people's policy. First, people are the first. And in everything that we do, we seek the consent of the people. That's why our House of Assembly is very free and independent. They take on issues of interest in order to report to their constituents. And their position now is that we must not allow Bakassi to go like that. So I believe that it's a battle that must be won one day.
Oh, okay, Governor, you do understand that Bakassi is an international case. Do you have the backing of the federal government to pursue this? Because Cross River cannot do it alone. Have you had a conversation with the president about this?
Yes, I agree with you that we cannot do it alone. We are discussing with the federal government. The federal government is not unmindful of the fact that we are suffering seriously because of the actions and decisions which were taken by the federal government, though former. They know very well the pains. And we have a president that is down to the earth, a president that is courageous and strong, a president that can take decisions. And this president also believes in people first. That is why he's trying to mitigate and ameliorate the problems of Nigerians amidst the policies that he's injecting into the system. So I believe that the federal government will be on our side and the international community. So we are working. We are not giving deadlines, but we know that it will be very, very difficult for people to sleep if we are not rightly treated.
Okay, so let's go back to investment and internally generated revenue. Your predecessor, Ben Ayade, set up the airline, Cali Airline for Cross River State with 2 aircraft. You have been quoted as saying that you will buy 3 more or 5 more aircrafts in order to expand. Where are you on that project?
That project is ongoing. I think, was it last week? We were in Germany to sign the final investment decisions. I think we're okay. We'll be having additional 5 aircrafts, though they will be coming one after the other. And truly, we've opened our markets into Central Africa and Guinea-Bissau. And we want to expand our routes to all these areas in order to build strength, both in terms of economy and value addition. And we are targeting the foreign exchange and also the quantum of trade that's lying there. It's very clear that as of now, if you want to look at the gap analysis between what our people will want, both in terms of air transportation and otherwise, the gap is quite huge. Most of the times, passengers are always stranded. And if you look at our road arteries, the main arteries into Cross River, we had issues even though we are sorting out the issues. And thanks be to the federal government who have come to make sure that the Calabar Coastal Road is a reality. The Calabar Lagos Coastal Road is a reality. And it's going to be starting in Calabar also very, very soon. We also thank the federal government because the Calabar to Road project is ongoing. The issue there was that of compensation. So we as a state, we've taken that responsibility. We've started paying the compensation. The moment we are completely clear with the due process, then we must have finished with that so that the different construction companies that were on that route can resume. The moment we do this and we have all our aircrafts on ground, I think we are ready to explode economically.
Aviation is a very expensive business. So I would like to ask, how much money does this really put into the pocket of Cross River State, or is this all about status?
How much money will it put would depend on the quantum of business. We are looking at a situation which, because by what I would say statisticians and the data and the different indices that have come up, if you do not have a sound business plan, then you cannot even come up with even one. The 2 we have are doing quite well, and they're also bringing and increasing our resources, thanks to the foresight of Professor Ben Ayade, who was able to do that. And we are adding more, because it was our promise that we will build. Like I said, yes, some people might look at us as being broke, but financially, we are solvent and ready for big businesses, even like aviation.
You've seen the price wars going on between airlines flying Nigeria International because of Airpeace, the Lagos-London route. And so if your airline takes off, expanding throughout Africa and abroad, maybe you'll be in the storm as well. What is your view about those price wars, and to see how important it is for more African airlines to fly both local, domestic, regional, and continental and international routes?
Constant, you've made a very important point there already. It is very important that we have our indigenous airlines that we're able to apply those routes. Even though ours is still a baby yet, we are not going that far. But that competition is necessary. And as you know, I will salute Airpeace for what they've done. And because of their action, you've seen that the prices are beginning to come down. At some point, it got to the level that the economy ticket from Nigeria to some other countries outside was the business ticket in other countries. And when you look at this disparity, you question and ask. At times, you can't find explanation. So I believe that the government will support some of these airlines, whichever way they can, to make sure they stand strong. The moment they are able to weather the storm, then we're okay to go. But I believe that even Africa as a continent needs more aircrafts and airlines that will be able to ply all routes. The moment this is done, it will be easy, and it will also allow a leeway for the expansion of businesses. Because one of the test cases, or what you use to test whether a country is enjoying some value addition or increased business, is in terms of transportation. When you see many airlines going in and out, many transporters moving back and forward, then you know that goods are being transported apart from human beings, and that there's some economic activity that is actually going on.
Okay, so one more question on aviation before we move on. You didn't quite answer when I asked it. Is the aviation business really profitable for your state? How much money are we talking about for Cross River?
Yes. Yes, when you say how much money, it will still require a guess, because from our own analysis and feasibility, we know when one aircraft starts working, we have an idea of what it will bring in from the two that are working now. So I know that the statistics are right. I will not be able to come out with the figure directly, but nobody runs a business at a loss. And times which government manages those kind of entities are far gone. It must be driven privately. For now, we are doing a dry lease to aero contractors. And aero contractors, in terms of safety, are about the best in the country. So we are making money from the business, and we know that by the time the other aircrafts come in, it will expand our business scope, and we will be able to function promptly on time. Then we can be sure that even more money is going to come out of it. But be rest assured that it's a sound investment, very, very sound investment, and that the risk involved in it, we've checked it all, we are okay and ready to go.
So the Coastal Road project goes from Lagos through Ogun, Ondo State, Delta, Edo, Bayelsa, Rivers, Akwa Ibom, and then Cross River State. There has been some, drama surrounding it. People are outraged that 15.6 trillion will be spent on that project, and we're told that there will be toll gates costing between 1,500 to 3,000 to recoup the investment. What do you think about all this controversy, and how does that project specifically benefit your state, Cross River?
Well, that project is very important. If we look at the price of repairing trucks and buying, diesel consumption, petrol consumption, and all the things we are trying to do, you see that that amount that's saying be paid is infinitesimal compared to what we spend on car repairs, maintenance, and all. That road is very, very important for Cross River, and we are ready to move into it fully. We support the federal government. If you know what we are suffering now because of the fact that we don't have the roads, we have many international facilities in Calabar. We have Lafarge, we have Wilma, we have a lot that are moving products between Cross River and Lagos, and moving products all around the country, not to talk of petroleum products and so on and so forth. Life lost on bad roads and so on. I believe that whatever is paid to get that road going is going to be okay. Nigerians you know, I know will be thinking that, look, this kind of cost, but that is because of the value of the naira. And the value of the naira is climbing. By the time Renewed Hope was finish all its plans, I give you every assurance that naira would acquire its proper status. It will command its real economic value and integrity, and this will be quite not much in the pocket of Nigerians. So I believe that we should give this project the support to come to life.
So you touched on transparency earlier, and I'd like to ask you about the security vote of governors and security in general. Governors of every state, they get, you know, security vote every month. It is such an opaque arrangement. There's no room for accountability. Why should Nigeria continue to have that kind of arrangement that doesn't lend itself to accountability? What's your view on that?
Well, my view on that, at times they say, is every month. Well, my state, we do that when it is actually necessary. Constant, let me tell you, it is better to buy peace at any cost than to pay for war and to pay for a society that nobody can sleep. It costs a lot to maintain peace all over the world. And there's no country, let nobody deceive you, that will come out with their budget for security. It's left for state governors to just be honest to their people and honest to themselves. Like my own state, we don't have much money, but we have a coastal line that is so vast. We have a land boundary with very rugged neighbors. I don't want to call names here so that it doesn't cause some diplomatic row. And when you look at from Cross River, when you look at from Bakassi to Yala or to Banliku, it's something like almost 400-500 kilometers, 600 kilometers. It becomes a real problem to actually police these particular boundaries. While the Renewed Hope agenda, Mr. President, is trying to take the economy out of the woods so that we have employment, because at long last, what will allow for reduced expenses on security is where people are engaged. There's employment and people are able to move on, and that there's hope for the future. Apart from that, if they ask governors, okay, don't spend again on security, I tell you, the 100 meters that will be in people's legs, nobody will believe it. So I think there's need is just for the governors to be very responsible about the expenditure and make sure that it's absolutely necessary. I think when they do that, there'll be no issue about it. All these questions are because our economy is not robust enough. We have enjoyed too much before now, spending so much on subsidy, people moving with briefcase and becoming billionaires, reaping from where they did not sow. So it is time for productivity. It's time for people to work to earn. By the time this comes to stay, our economy will be balanced. And nobody will be asking anything about security. Because that is the first, what I will say, the first concern of government. Safety of properties and safety of our citizens. And that must continue to be prime.
Governor Bassey Otu, thank you so much for joining us on Arise Prime Time. Thank you.